Half past the hour in Alton, Illinois. You got a balmy 73-degree morning with no clouds, 0% chance of rain. Probably leave that umbrella at home today, but be sure to drink plenty of water as you've got highs in the 90s and 40% humidity. It's going to be a scorcher today. Light traffic out on the river. You've got a few fishermen and barges, but picking up as you go further south. You're going to run into some heavy commercial traffic as you get into St. Louis, Missouri. For your listening pleasure, I've got a track called St. Clair to San Diego by a local band, If I Drown. You're listening to Stoic Nomadic Radio, and I'm your host, Retro.
Is this what's best for me? I've never seen a sunset like this before. Watch the lights fading out upon the cliffs of the shore. I've never been this far from home. Now I'm stuck in the past. Is it too hard to see?
I saw this beauty cruising the channel first thing in the morning, northbound. Unlike us, we're going with the current, south. We haven't seen much commercial traffic and we're grateful for that. Really, it's like stepping back in time when we paddle this river, because we get to see what it was like before there was shipping. Mowgli and I are in a bit of a competition at the moment to see who can have the clearest urine. It's been really hot outside and it's a good way to keep ourselves hydrated. Dottie declined to participate. Recently, Illinois' cliffs and outcroppings have been so fascinating to watch pass by as we paddle. Today it was this highway, just north of the Alton area, that sat at the base of these tall cliffs. I liked the way the cars and the stripes on the road contrasted the colors of the cliffs right above them. We stopped in Alton, Illinois to get water. But Mowgli immediately cut his foot on his hatchet, right down to the bone. It was nasty, bleeding everywhere, all over his canoe, all over the rocks. Dottie went for help in a nearby casino, asking if she could borrow their first aid kit, or point her to a place that sold gauze. But instead, they called the fire department, and no matter how much she asked them not to, they asked an ambulance to come out. So the three of us had to go and hide until the ambulance decided we weren't there anymore, and Mowgli fixed his own foot with stuff he bought from the store. It sucks having to hide from an ambulance, but we just can't afford them. Our hiding spot had outlets, so we charged up the electronics, and this lady named Dawn hooked us up with some free hot dogs. We filled up our water at the splash pad, unplugged all our junk, and then carried everything back to the rocks where the canoes were stashed to hop in and paddle south of Alton.
Canoe to the Mel Price Lock and Dam operator.
The first obstacle south of town was the Melvin Price Lock and Dam, a huge operation with a canyon-like chamber with swift water leading to its belly. Our two canoes shared the lock chamber with one other pleasure craft, and then waited as they swung the two doors open that led us out onto the south end of the channel. Everything about the river changed south of those swinging doors. Barges lined the banks of the river, and towboats to push them by were tied up as well. This was some kind of waypoint, and we weren't ready for it. We didn't know that it would be here. We knew there was shipping traffic on the river, but once we got through that lock, there it was, all of it, all at once. The water was getting more turbulent too, partly from the wind, but mostly from the towboats and the barges throwing their massive wake. We don't have very heavy gear, and we're not very heavy people as it is, so these canoes really get bucked around when there's water like this. South of the Mel Price Lock, there was land, plenty of it, but the soil had changed. Now it's clay mud instead of the sand we were used to north of the dam. We took our lunch there and spread out a tarp so that we would have a place to sit that wasn't in the mud. And I don't know if it's natural or man-made, but there's all kinds of turbulent water down here, whirlpools and boils and eddies. It could be just the way the river naturally is, or it could be wing dams, structures that engineers place under the river to direct the mud out of the shipping channel. We made a major milestone today, though, the confluence with the Missouri River. The Missouri is the longest river on the continent, and the Mississippi doubles in size where the Missouri joins it. The clump of trees on that point is the confluence of the two rivers. Look at the color difference with the Missouri on the left and the Mississippi on the right, and the border between the two as one river dumps into the other. Now I'm pointing my camera south, looking at the new Mississippi River, after the Missouri is dumped into it and as the waters blend around river islands. If we turned into the Missouri River, well, first of all, we'd be paddling upstream, but eventually we'd make it all the way to Montana, where the river originates. The meeting of these two rivers feels significant and powerful. It feels like the river's intensity just doubled. If the current was strong, it's twice as strong. If things were hard, now they're twice as hard. It's a humbling challenge to take on. Putting this canoe up on the bank was another humbling challenge. The new mud that we find ourselves stuck in is so slick and so greedy in how fast it will swallow your foot that you just can't get a grip on anything. You'll slide right off or sink right in. Mowgli says it best and says it almost daily. Man, this river is rough.